Why should people listen to this episode?
I think this episode is a good summary of what you can expect from a freelancing life. Everyone out there, just show up for things that matter to you because you don't realize it, but eventually it all just comes together and it changes your life. One day when I had argued with my dad that, you just have too much expectation from me, and the very same day I closed one deal that was worth more than the monthly amount he told me to earn. I don't think that college life is your best life. You can make it that way. You can decide if you want everything else to be downhill, but I don't think life ends at college. It just begins.
Hello everyone. In this episode of our podcast, we are excited to host Shreya Pattar, a young powerhouse and a master of written word, known as one of the top freelancers in India and abroad. Shreya has turned her passion for writing into massive booming career, inspiring countless along the way, from creating impactful content to building a personal brand that stands out. She is a living example of turning creativity into success. Tune into this podcast brought to you by Brewing Stories. Today, we will dive into Shreya's journey, discuss the secrets behind her freelance success, and explore how she continues to redefine the world of content creation. So, with all due respect and immense pleasure, I would like to welcome Shreya. Hi Shreya, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great. I mean, I'm so glad you read my ebooks. And like that was one of the first things you did, when we spoke, when we met, and then you just messaged me on Instagram, and you got my ebooks, and you were the one of the few people to actually apply it. You saw the results. I'm really happy. So yeah, thank you so much for making the most of whatever I've created. I really appreciate that.
Shreya, how did you utilize your network for freelancing while you were in college?
That's an interesting question. So I was in college for 3 years. I studied English and philosophy in Trinity College abroad. So I moved to Dublin around 3 years ago, and I think the main thing for me was to just be a part of as many things as possible because I was studying a course that's arts, that's English and philosophy. It's very different from the business side of things. But I was so involved in business that if like everyone in the business school always knew me. They always saw me around, hanging around in that building. I was there in every event you can think of. I was there pitching. I was there, conducting workshops. I was doing different things. I was just very involved. And I think that was the main thing that I did to, create a network as such. It wasn't something I did on purpose. My plan wasn't, okay, I have to go build a network. I have to go find an opportunity. It wasn't like that. It was just about, this is something of interest to me. I like being in a space where I'm learning how businesses work, how to come up with startup ideas, how to form a team, how to market yourself, how to build that idea into something that can actually be put out there in the real world and not just on paper. So all of these things were really fascinating to me. So I just, I was a part of these events, these opportunities very frequently. And I think within the first few months of being in college, everyone in the business school, especially like the main staff, the main professors, they knew me. And then if anything came up, they would email me like, "Hey, Shreya, this has come up. Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to host this event? Do you want to meet this person?" And I think that just opened up new things in general from for me in terms of everything, not just freelancing. So I wouldn't say I've got freelancing clients as such from college networking, but I have become visible. People knew me. People I didn't know would stop me sometimes, say, "Hey, you write on LinkedIn. I follow you on LinkedIn." So that was a different kind of impact that I had. I think just being a freelancer and being somebody who was always present in every possible scenario. So that's how my networking was in college.
I was just curious, were you part of any other activities apart from freelancing?
I really enjoy a lot of things. So, although I liked writing for a long time, I really enjoy baking and cooking. So, I used to do a lot of that. Um, it went down with time, once this became an actual career and I'm actually doing writing constantly, it's more demanding in terms of time. So, everything else goes down. But yeah, I really like cooking and baking. I really enjoyed badminton. So, I played badminton even in college for a few months, but it just wasn't something I could keep up with. Now I enjoy going to the gym because there's only so much you can do during a pandemic. There's, you can't really go out. It's raining as well, so you can't really be outside. So yeah, I like going to the gym. So I have a lot of different interests, and I try to pursue them in whatever ways I can. No, the gym is outside. It's a gym outside, but yeah, things have opened up quite recently, so I'm glad it's open. There's somewhere to be.
I have a silly question. Why should we continue our education when we have a clear picture in mind what we want to do in our life?
So an interesting thing is that my course was a 4-year course. I myself decided to complete it with a bachelor's, an ordinary bachelor's in 3 years instead of the honors course that was a 4-year course. And this was a pretty last minute decision. Like I decided it earlier this year, and it was only because of where I'm heading right now. So I'm heading with freelancing. I know that what I'm up to, what I'm doing is quite clear. I know that I'm not looking for something that my degree would offer me. I'm looking for something different. So I decided that this is not the path for me right now. Now, if I didn't have the option to graduate in my third year with an ordinary BA, I probably would have completed it. The reason being I had 1 year left. And also the reason being that it's okay for me to be responsible for my decisions of, quitting things, of leaving things sooner, of doing things differently. But when I'm giving advice, I want to give a well-rounded advice. I always want to give you that full, clear picture because things don't always work out later on. You may be a great freelancer now, things may be going smoothly now, but just 2 years later down the line, if something doesn't work out, you don't want to have that regret in your head that, okay, if I at least had a degree, something would have been different, right? You don't want that. So if I'm giving out advice, I'm going to always consider the worst case scenario. And if I think that, okay, there's 1 year left, you might want to complete it. You've already given so much time and effort. It doesn't harm to have a degree, especially when you were already committed to it when you were starting out. So, I mean, of course, it's great to have both. If you're freelancing successfully, that's great if you want to quit. But my advice will always be always consider the worst case scenario as well.
Students in our age are addicted to something or the other. How can one overcome their addiction?
I think everyone has a different priority, especially during college times. No one really cares about career. No one really cares about setting a business. Most people that I've spoken to, I realize that for them, college is more like this is the best time of our lives. After this, it's all it's all downhill from here. There's nothing good about life after college. So you know what? I'm going to enjoy these 4 5 years that I have, and then we'll slog later. That is usually the idea, but that's not an idea that I have. So I don't think that college life is your best life. You can make it that way. You can decide if you want everything else to be downhill, but I don't think life ends at college. It just begins. It barely begins. So you have a lot of things to look forward to. So I don't see it that way, first of all. And second of all, the kind of person I am, I just like being with myself. So Dublin is a very, big space for pubs, outing. Everyone's out, always in Dublin. You take it as a Monday afternoon, you take it as a Thursday evening, you take it as a Friday night. Everyone's out because that's the kind of culture in Dublin, in Ireland. But I'm not that kind of person. I like being by myself. I like being indoors where it's warm and where I don't have to wear 10 different layers of clothes. And that in a way shields me from a lot of things. Now, I don't have advice on how you can, overcome addictions. I'm not an expert at that. I don't have advice on how you can not fall into them. But the main thing is just to get busy with something. When you're busy doing something else, when you have a clear focus, then you don't want to let anything else ruin your life. It doesn't have to be career. I'm not saying this career. Like for me, for example, I even like going to the gym. That's one of my biggest goals right now is working around my health, becoming stronger, becoming healthier. And when I commit to that, I let go of a lot of things that are bad for me. Like I've reduced how much, packed food I eat. And all of those things, like small things that were addictions for me. Like I was really addicted to, eating a biscuit any point of the day. I don't like doing that anymore because that's not something that aligns with, where I want to be in a few months from now. So I think that's the best way to not fall into anything, not wrong, I won't say wrong, but not fall into anything that's bad for you because when you're committed to just, becoming your best self and trying to do it as fast as you can, you won't you won't lean towards anything that can take you even a little bit away from that success. So that's how I see it.
While there are many platforms, why did you choose Gumroad over Amazon or any other publishing platforms?
Not that. I mean, Gumroad is a creator-friendly platform. It's meant for creators. So they don't take 70% commission, which Amazon takes if you charge above a certain amount. 70% is a lot. And if I'm working with Gumroad, it's like 5%, less than that. There's a lot of other benefits as well. Like everyone's on Gumroad and everyone's selling something, creating something. I just like that kind of energy that Gumroad has. And how I found Gumroad was actually through Twitter because the founder of Gumroad, Sahil Lavangia, he has a really good Twitter account. And when he started, like Gumroad is pretty old, like 10 years. He's been building it for 10 years. At that time, it was quite futuristic. So it took a lot of time for Gumroad to kick off. It's been visible in the past 2 3 years, not more than that. And at the time when it was like picking up, Sahil would always tweet the success. He would tweet how much revenue creators made, how the company is growing, how they got more creators on board, how many teammates they have. And every month he used to put out a review. Every quarter he used to put out a like full summary. And I just found that very inspiring. I just found his way of sharing his journey to be very unique. And more than the platform, I was like, okay, this guy is very interesting. I want to see what he's working on. I want to understand what is different because this person is different. So he's definitely created something good. And based on that influence and based on seeing how everybody was selling something only on Gumroad suddenly, I was like, okay, let me see what it is about. And turns out it's a great platform to be on. So yeah, I mean, I think I've used Gumroad once. I don't like any other platform. There are many similar platforms out there coming up. I I tried them out. I don't like them anymore. Gumroad is like it just hits the nail on the head. You don't need anything else.
So, Shreya, I have read your books and I personally loved them. But I would like you to tell our audience why they should read the book.
Yeah, that's actually like the exact word my parents used when they read the ebooks, and they were like, "Okay, this is an absolute spoon feeding. You have done exactly what people want. You're telling them how to do every single thing. How do you explain every single word?" And I think, yeah, I'm just glad I could create something like that. There's nothing out there. Who tells you how to create an invoice? Who gives you an invoice template? I don't know anybody who would do that in a freelance coaching, right? So I really wanted to do that, and because people struggle so much with simple things like this, it's important. You use invoices all along, so you need to know how to do these things. So yeah, I'm glad I could create something that's spoon feeding. I really enjoyed creating it. Yeah.
People who are productive rarely use social media. I'm just curious, like how much time do you spend on social media?
I don't know. I spend a lot of time because honestly, I enjoy it so much. You can see me. I do like three Q&As every week. I answer like 100 questions per Q&A because I love doing it. I love answering questions. It gives me so much to think about. So yeah, I spend way too much time on social media. Way too much. But I like it.
Are there any mentors that you look up to?
There's a lot of people. I think just, going on Twitter, I just read a lot of tweets that from people that I follow. And the people that I follow also retweet a lot of really good people. So that's how I end up, finding new mentors to follow. Of course, Jose Rosado is one of the biggest ones because he was actually one of my clients. So he was a client for a month. He liked what I did. And yeah, he liked what I did. And he was like, Shreya, I just want to help you grow your business. And I thought that was a really cool thing. He just reached out and he was like, let's do something different. And then he became like this one-on-one mentor who's just, helping me with everything. And I think it's really cool. He's really nice. Like for him to, just get up and offer that, I think, yeah, it was really nice of him. And in general, just a lot of people I follow on Twitter. That would be Ed Latimore. I really like his tweets. So Alexander Cortez, he's really good. Um, Like yeah, like and there's a few people. There's Keval Shah on Twitter. Like all these people have this really interesting ways of portraying themselves. They're all doing different things, but I think the common thing is that they're really good writers. Everyone is just the writing is so impactful. So even if I'm not learning like how to run a business from them or like fitness or things like that, I'm still learning how to become a better writer. So those are my mentors in a sense of, I consume their content and then in that sense they become mentors, I guess. Yeah.
How did you get in touch with people like Raj Shamani, Divyansh, and Vaibhav Sisinti?
They reached out, I think, for they were planning some session. They reached out and we did a YouTube live many months ago. Yeah.
Well, in terms of your career, any future plans?
I think there's a lot to explore. So I started out with something different. I'm doing something slightly different now. So I do see myself doing more different things. I'm not going to talk about any of that yet because I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just something I'm taking one day at a time for now. And as in when things happen, I guess you'll find out. That's all I'll say.
Well, Shreya, in today's age, there are so many so called freelancing gurus and stuff. People who are watching this, can you tell how you are different?
See, the thing is that you can't really expect external support from anyone. Like even, people struggle to get support even from people in their family, people they know. So expecting support from somebody who just doesn't know you at all is just a very big expectation to have, something that probably won't work out because anybody who's selling courses, like, over 400 people are reading this ebook. So I cannot claim that, oh, I'm going to help every single person. No, if you reach out to me, I'll help you out with my responses, but I cannot guide every single person. Similarly, like, when thousands of people are purchasing your courses, uh, you can't give personal attention to everyone unless you're doing something, unless you have a team maybe who's helping you out with that. So I don't have any comments on any such courses. I've not taken such courses, but the main idea is that as even if you get a lot of support, the only thing is that you have to still take action. They can still keep telling you, okay, you need to do this. I'm supporting you. I'm telling you, you do this. But if you don't put in the work, their support will feel like, oh, they're just saying something. They're not really helping me. But you are the one not doing the work. So it's not really, I mean, the word support would be overrated in this sense that you can't, first of all, you can't expect it from people. You have to do it yourself. And second, even if you do get it, you still have to act. So why not just focus on putting in the action rather than complaining about not getting support or motivation to start?
I have a habit of collecting quotes. Can you give me your top 5 quotes that inspire you?
I don't remember any quotes, honestly. I just read so many of them. I use quotes in all of my LinkedIn posts. So if my LinkedIn posts are not one-liners, which is if they're not just quotes from me, then they always have a quote in the end. I've been doing this for like a year. So I think people when they read my LinkedIn posts, one of the things that really attracts them is the quote. Like they really like how well it ties up. So which is why I made it a feature of my book as well. So I wanted to keep that keep that spark and keep that energy that comes about by a quote or adding a quote, how it just gives so much substance to what I have said. I really liked that. So I wanted to do something similar for my ebooks. That's why you see so many quotes in all three of my ebooks. I don't have any favorite quotes as such, but I think one of them that really stood out to me was one by Taylor Swift, who I really admire her. So this is something I read like years ago, and it still stuck with me. And the quote was that I am intimidated by the fear of being average. And I think that's a really powerful quote where you just, you want to do something different, and that's what keeps pushing you constantly, even when you don't want to do anything. So I really like that quote.
So, Shreya, you are giving talks, you are writing books, even you are in a podcast today. You are doing a lot of stuff all together. I just wanted to know what inspires you to do everything you do.
Just, wanting a better life for myself and my family.
Did you have any negative mindset that was stopping your growth?
Yeah, okay. So one of the things is that I was stuck with, a certain amount of income for a long time. And, my dad would always say that, you should next month aim to hit this much. And I used to always laugh, like, that's not possible. How will that happen? And stuff like that. And because of that, I was just stuck at the same income for a long, long time. Like for 6 months, I didn't grow in freelancing. And then I was like, what difference does it make? Let me just try. Let me just give it a shot. Let me see what I can do if I earn more. And like, I can do it. Maybe I can do it. And so I think there was one day when I had argued with my dad that, you just have too much expectation from me. And the very same day, I closed one deal that was worth more than the monthly amount he told me to earn. So I think that, once that happened, and this cycle continued two, three times. 2, 3 times my dad kept increasing the income and he kept saying, you can hit this, you can hit this. It didn't happen because I was not sure of that. But when it did, now give me any number and I'm like, I'll do it. I need some time, but I'll do it. So that's the kind of energy that has changed for me. Very important. I'm glad it changed. It should have.
Well, Shreya, for all your success, if you would to contribute everything to one habit, what would that be?
Oh, my laziness. Because I'm so lazy, I just want to get things done and get moving and do something else. So that
What would Shreya Pattar like to be remembered for?
my writing, just writing. Yeah, for more in more ways, I guess. Yeah, yeah. That would be a nice thing to be remembered for.
Is there any app that you would like to recommend that might help us in our productivity?
I like to use this app called Forest. It's basically a timer. So you set a timer for, let's say, 30 minutes, and if you use your phone, then the timer goes off. And if you don't use your phone, then there's a seed that grows into a plant. And it's just nice. Like when you successfully complete it, you have a baby plant sitting in your phone. I don't know what it does, but it's just a nice way rather than, yeah, rather than an alarm ringing at the end of your work hour or whatever. So I like to use that. I think it's nice.
Any book that you would like to recommend for our viewers?
Yeah, other than my books, uh, I really like, I guess, I really liked this one. There's a book by Justine Garden called Sophie's World. It has a lot of philosophy in it. I really enjoyed it. Um, and there was a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I really enjoyed it. It was by Richard Bach. It was like I read it when I was probably 10 years old for the first time, and it was just really interesting. It's a very short book, but I really like the kind of story that it has, and I don't want to give it away, but it's very inspiring. It's very feel good, and these are two books that I really enjoy. And other than that, like lately, I'm reading Harry Potter, so I'm getting through the full series. I'm on book two now. I decided to write my ebook in the middle of reading book one, so I'm on book two very slowly, but hoping to get through the series. Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
You wrote a lot of books. Are you also planning to start your own course, maybe on freelancing or sales call or anything else?
Maybe eventually. Uh, right now, I think I'm just enjoying that my third ebook is out, and I'm looking forward to more reviews for that.
How would you do things differently if you had to start over?
How would I do things differently? I don't think I would do anything differently. I mean, if now I know, so now since I know stuff, I would just act faster because I have more clarity on where I have to go. In the beginning, I was very unfocused. I was just trying to do everything I could, but now I have more clarity on what I'm doing and where I'm going. So if I had to start again, that would be the first thing that, I decide exactly one or two things that I want to focus on, work only on that, and I would focus more on Twitter. I would love to be more involved on Twitter.
How can people watching this can get in touch with you?
Um, all social media. I think there's only one Shreya Pattar. So if you just look up my name on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere, hopefully I'm the first one that will pop up. So you can just DM me anywhere. But I'm mostly active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So that would be the best place to reach out to me.
If you'd have to pass on a message to our upcoming generation, what would that be?
Okay. So I think, this is one thing that I've always talked about, showing up. We started our conversation with that when I said that, I showed up to every possible event that intrigued me, that was of interest to me in college. I showed up to writing every single day when I should have. I showed up to, just being a part of everything in school, just, standing up, writing my own poems, reciting my own poems, elocution competitions, all of these things, just being a part of these things. Which is why at this stage I know that, okay, I want to do writing full time. I'm good at speaking because I've had so much practice of just showing up and doing it every single day. And now in terms of freelancing, let's say everything's working out because I showed up on LinkedIn with a post every other day for 3 years. I showed up on Instagram with a post every single day for like a year. I'm showing up every single day. I'm showing up for this podcast. I'm showing up for the interview. And that's what really changes your life. And you just keep showing up for things that will later align into something that is life changing, into something that makes a lot of impact, positive impact, and a lot of huge impact, significant impact to your life. So I think that's what my advice would be to everyone out there. Like, just show up for things that matter to you, because you don't realize it, but eventually it all just comes together and it changes your life.
What should the listeners do in the next 30 days to improve their lives?
Okay. The first thing would probably be that you should decide exactly what you want to do, because the more focused you are, the more clarity you have on what your next step is supposed to be, and then the sooner you reach wherever you want to reach. So first thing is have clarity. Second thing is get some experience working towards that goal. So if you want to freelance, for example, start doing it. And if you want to freelance, your first goal should be to find a client as soon as possible, because you want that experience of working with someone, of making your own money. So if, let's say, you're a freelancer because you're here watching this, so your first goal should be to find a client anyhow. The third step would be to, based on your experience, always keep learning and improving. So for to do that, if you want experience as fast as possible, you have to put in the work every day. So especially if you have time now, considering exams are done for a lot of students, if you have time, given as much time as you can now for the next 30 days, just trying to get clarity again on not only what you're doing, but how you want to do it and where you see it going. Fourth thing would be to get help. If you want to get help, then as your host has told you throughout this podcast, that you should get my ebooks. And if you think that helps you out, you should do that. You should consume content that's helpful for you. It can be free content that you see on my Instagram or anyone's Instagram. It can be paid content like ebooks and courses, mine or anyone else's. Do that. And the fifth thing would be to, once you have experience, once you have some good questions to ask, once you really have some substance that you really, really need help with, ask someone about it. Let's say you ask me about it. So what that does is, then you're asking the good questions. You're not confused, okay, where do I start? You're not asking a broad question which is not going to help you go anywhere. You're asking a specific thing. Like, hey, I worked with these many people. I want to grow to this much, and this is what I've tried so far. This is not working. What else can I try? When you have a full case study, like a full personal case study, that's when someone can help you better. So I think these are the five things of, like, 5 ways to progress, and probably the fifth one would probably be at like the very end of the month if you're talking about a 30-day schedule here. So yeah, those would be my five, 5 next steps.
Why should people listen to this episode?
mm, I think this episode is a good summary of just what uh, what you can expect from a freelancing life, because I've talked about, not just college and, how I got started with freelancing, but also broadly about my ebooks and how I did different things, how I chose different paths. So I think it's just a nice, different outlook as compared to just, working with clients. Okay, that's one part of my life, but there's something else as well. So I think, yeah, this was a good summary of the different aspects of my life.
Why should people listen to this episode?